Welcome to the family with
co-host Catherine Brandt
and Andy Brandt Bernard.
We are here. Catherine has to leave early because it's Grandparents' Day again, which we've been covering.
No, it's Dance Day.
Oh, it's Dance Day. That's right. Grandparents' Day was yesterday.
Yep.
And then what's tomorrow?
More dance.
More dance tomorrow.
Yeah.
Lots of dance going on.
So much dancing.
No question about it. I thought it was supposed to clear up and warm up today. What happened to that?
It's Minnesota.
Not so much.
It just does whatever it wants.
It does do whatever it wants. Absolutely right. So what's new, Andy? Anything good?
No, not really. We just got as much sleep as possible last night. Oh yeah, Mom doesn't know. Wait, do you? Yes, you do know that Colin was awake from
yes.
Yeah.
That's weird because he's a good sleeper.
Usually he is, but yeah, no, he was up from I think 3 a.m. to 5 something a.m.
Ugh.
Yeah. Melissa had to go buy formula at 4 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, that also made him sleep in the car, but still we didn't get a whole lot of sleep 2 nights ago, but last night we sure did. We went to sleep at like right after Ethan did.
Last night was different.
Yeah,
last
you gotta
night, nice and full.
It's really fun having little kids that don't sleep, isn't it?
I know the baby phase is, he's getting into the teething phase, which is arguably the worst part of raising a child.
The teething. Yes, teething's a thrill.
Well, because
no question.
they don't sleep. They just scream all the time. There's nothing you can do about it.
Some kids just sail through it, and some kids
That's
just
true.
have the worst time in the world.
Ethan did not sail through it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So I guess we have bad teething. But he also got all of his teeth by the time he was like 2 years old. So, I mean, that helps.
It's true.
So we are not having a show Monday.
No.
Well, unless you want to do a show. Do we have enough guests?
I suppose technically, I could just do a show with Alex.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just do the show.
Yeah. All right. So at the moment, the idea is Alex and I will do a show. I'll make sure she can actually show up. But we got Kristen, we got Bob. It should be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Kristen will be with you too.
Okay.
Some of the headlines from today: White House comes out with sharp spending cuts in Trump's 2026 budget plan. He cut PBS completely out of the budget. Did you see that?
Well, they did a study on the bias in public radio and TV, and they found that there was quite a bit of it.
Well, there's a lot of bias, there's no question. So that's what they're getting rid of.
Well, I mean, why should they pay for a station that's just going to badmouth them the entire time?
Well, you're absolutely right.
Well, also PBS, only 15% of its budget is federal. So it's not like PBS is getting destroyed. 15% of their budget's going away.
15% of a budget is a lot.
I mean, depending on how much the executives and the talents and everything.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to take a 15% cut.
Yeah,
but you know what? If they could have been less biased and it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, a lot of taxpayers are sick to death of their tax money being taken and being used against them.
I sure am.
And that's just how it is.
I mean, we love PBS. Well, we love PBS Kids.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
they've got great
Ethan,
programming.
Yeah, he plays the games on his tablet. He watches their shows, everything. And, it's PBS Kids is great. But no, the rest of it is very, just very biased. And I don't even know if it needs to exist, to be honest.
This next headline will not mean much to about 90% of the audience. Well, maybe about 80% of the audience. Remember the show Laugh In, Andy? Have you ever watched Laugh In? Because it's in repeats.
No, I'm aware of it. I know that Nixon was on it.
That's right. Nixon was on it. Sock it to me.
Sock it to me.
That's what he said. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a long time ago.
Well, here you go, Catherine. Who died at 88 years old from Laugh In? You'll know the name, definitely.
It was Rowan and Martin is laughing, right?
I believe so, yeah.
One of them?
Nope. Ruth Buzzy.
Oh, I love Ruth
I know.
Buzzy.
Andy, you don't even know who that is, do you?
No.
I wouldn't think.
I think she
was great.
I think she ended up having sort of like a dog rescue or something in Arizona. Yep. She was on social media always doing jokes. She was great.
Yep. 88 years old. Ruth Buzzy died. Yeah. And again, that's a long, long time ago. Laugh in reruns. You can still find it some places and that whole deal.
I don't even know where you would watch it. Laugh in. Let's see.
Well, it's got to be on somewhere.
It's got to be on YouTube.
It's on Tubi, apparently.
Tubi. There you go. It's on Tubi. That would make sense.
Pluto, Roku. It's on all those like free. What does Kristen call them? Fast, free, ad-supported TV. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, she's got all the buzzwords.
And
She's
she
good
sure
with
does.
buzzwords.
So yeah, Laugh-In's on all the fast channels.
Okay.
Fubo, Tubi, Meebo.
Oh my God.
Fubo.
This is popping up much, much more as the day goes by. Today's one of those days. You heard that Trump cut the budget completely to zero for PBS, didn't you, Andy?
Well, we just mentioned it.
Yeah, mentioned it, but I
that.
mean, you did hear about it, right?
I heard it from you.
Oh, you didn't know before. So there you go.
From watching you.
Also, I need to mention that Minnesota legislators consider rolling back, revising some laws passed by the DFL in 2023. There's a big battle going on right now about the whole deal. It's pretty amazing. Nobody can get along with anybody. Oh, there's trouble. There's two pieces of trouble right there. And did you come in here and set them up?
You guys can just sit right here. Throw some headphones. The headphones are there and there. Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm Catherine.
What's happening? What are you doing?
Hi, Brad. Nice to meet you.
Brad wants to be the governor.
I know. That's why you're here. I saw you were on X talking about. Go ahead and put those headphones on right there.
Aren't you going to sit down?
About running for governor.
Yeah, I'm going to stand. Yeah.
You want to stand the whole time? Well, we'll see.
Well, I'm leaving.
Reverend Hill.
in
Yeah,
just
she's leaving in a
few
couple
minutes.
Anyway,
I got to go watch
our
our granddaughter do her solo in St. Paul.
Doing a solo.
I know they actually took her out of school to do a solo, so it better be good.
I just look.
It better be good.
The timing of life. Can you hear it?
No. This should be.
There's
a switch right there.
Switch on there. You can switch it up, and life will be grand.
Okay.
Somewhere on there.
You might have to do it for him.
I can't.
Unless that's one of the many pairs of headphones that's dead.
Probably 13 years ago.
13 years ago.
I was doing your social media.
Are they working?
Yes.
For the podcast when you guys first started.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And Tracy Call brought me in.
Tracy.
Oh,
guys
I thought
were
you
over-
looked familiar.
Yeah, you guys
Okay.
were over in the other building.
Yeah.
God, I haven't talked to Tracy in years. You still talk to her?
No.
Well,
I haven't
this
talked to her
sounds
either,
like
actually.
She
a
kind of
good
just
time for
disappeared.
me to
She's got
go.
She got very political, I think.
Yeah, is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
I would love to talk about
That
the
doesn't
Minneapolis
surprise me.
political scene, but I gotta go watch
Yep.
a dance.
Catherine's out of
That's
here.
more fun.
Yeah, there you go. All right, my dear. Well, give me a call. Let me know what
All right.
what time her dance works.
All right. So why don't we properly introduce our guest?
Why don't I do this? Why don't I take a break and we'll come back
Or
and we'll
that.
introduce our guest. That would be a good thing anyway.
Sure.
Don't you think?
Yes.
I mean, that's a good route to take, right, Catherine?
Nice to see you
Yes.
again.
We'll be right back in a couple of minutes and find out what Minnesota's future looks like right after this. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Pally?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
There we go. Let's take a second to talk about my bank. That'd be North American Banking Company. As a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to grow, and that's where North American Banking Company can help. Their business banking team offers tailored solutions, whether you're expanding your team, opening a new location, or upgrading equipment. Because they're locally owned, loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities, which means faster approvals and more flexibility to meet your needs. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
I said, sisters, if you only knew
You would wish you were in my
We are
shoes.
back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go around the table. We'll start with you. Go around the table. Yeah, you pop those on. There you go. That'll work beautifully. You got it on, Andy?
I can hear just fine.
There it
Oh,
is.
there you go. Welcome to the family with the Tom Bernard podcast.
Yes.
They get mad at me when
Tom
I don't say
Bernard
the Tom
podcast.
Bernard podcast. So, you can't hear?
They got to be turned on
You got to turn them on.
the
Yeah.
left.
Should be a little switch on the left side. It might be that stocking cap too is too thick. That might be one.
Hey, look at that.
You got it now?
Look at
All right.
that.
Our first guest on the Tom Bernard Show today is
John Marino.
John. God, there you go. Rev Tim.
Reverend Tim Christopher is in house.
And
Brad Kohler, candidate for governor 2026.
now you guys running together.
Yes, we are.
That's what I understand. Because you do things, shows. I've been doing shows now for, God, I guess it's been about 55 years, something like that. This really shocked me because I did announce you guys were going to be on earlier in the week. Then I said, obviously, to meet the needs and the politics of the state, we'll invite Tim Walz on. I haven't heard back from Tim. I don't get it.
I'm not shocked.
I'm not shocked either.
He's at another state doing a town hall,
Oh, that's what he's doing.
something like that.
I don't.
Talking to white men that
he likes to talk
need
to
to
white guys.
translate. Yeah,
Hey, well,
He's
whatever.
a coder. He's a coder.
the coder.
Whatever works. Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. You ran for vice president. I've never met the guy. Doesn't seem like my kind of guy. He's from Nebraska originally, and now he's the governor of Minnesota. I don't see how that happened either. He didn't even grow up here, did he?
No.
I mean,
Well, we didn't either. So, but we've been here. I've been here 30 years.
Well, 30 years.
Yeah,
well,
I've been
maybe
here
I don't
since
know.
1990.
Yeah. So
That's all. I thought you were here long. I thought I knew you longer than that.
No.
I suppose that's 35 years.
Yeah,
not
that's
to stick up for Tim, by the way.
Right.
I just want to mention that. So
Yeah. So okay, there you go.
But I got to tell you, being on the Tom Bernard Show, I might as well just quit now. This is the highlight of my life right now. I'll tell
Well,
you that.
we're gonna have
Your
that's
show,
very kind. Of you.
amazing.
I was just looking at some of the headlines, and we don't have to cover all these subjects, but teachers union accuses Anoka Hennepin School District of mismanaging how much they teach and what to teach.
Is that
They
shocking?
micromanage No, it's not. Why don't you get all sides of every argument? When I
Right.
went to school as a kid, and that was a long time ago, we heard all sides of the argument, just not just one.
Right.
And they're wondering why the president of the United States cut all their funding yesterday. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
He cut all the funding for PBS. Is he going to catch hell for that? I would imagine.
Oh, from the wrong people, of course.
Yeah. I
Oh,
suppose.
from the ones that
I'm
want
sure he will. I'm sure he will.
I just.
I'm sure he has already.
Oh, has he already?
Well, of course. These things are the
I
24-hour
suppose.
news cycle. Everything is.
Yeah,
You
that's
get 30 seconds to emotionally digest it, and then you got to have an opinion.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to be absolutely straightforward and honest and all the rest of it. You guys are on, and I reached out and told everybody over at Walz's the office he's more than welcome to come on because that was the old American way of doing it. He offered both opinions, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to show up.
As long as the Democrats feel that they own Hennepin County,
Mm-hmm.
they can call their own
It's
shots.
true.
Yeah, I suppose that is true.
They can do whatever they want. It's just like when Tim Walz was going up against Scott Jensen, and Tim Walz put a stop to Scott Jensen and saying, I'm not going to debate you in Hennepin County.
Yep.
That was the stopgap
Yep.
right there. Because Tim Walz knew the Republicans were not coming into Hennepin County. And the Republicans were waiting for that debate to get into Hennepin County.
Right.
So as long as that blue wall is there and people in Hennepin County will not start to see what the Democrats are actually doing with all this money that is leaving this state,
A lot of it.
a lot of it, then this is what we're going to have. So Tim Walz don't feel he has a right to come and sit in front of you, Tom, and give you his side of the story, because basically his side of the story is going to be, I've been a good governor, which we know that is not true. I've done this here. I've done that. We know that is not true. There was. Now I'm not blaming him for the shootings that just happened.
24.
I'm not blaming him for that.
24
But
shootings.
what I'm
Wow.
going to say is this here. the policies that they have in place
Mhm.
has enabled those people to think that they can walk the streets and shoot anybody.
I would agree with that.
Right?
I would agree.
I don't. I'm not going to blame him for it. But what he's given these people the mindset to do is the problem that we're having. The mindset is I can do whatever I want, and more than likely, Mary is going to get me off. More than likely, a judge down there is going to get me off.
Mhm.
More than likely, a prosecutor. That's the problem with what we're having, and people are not calling out what it is.
Right, I'll give you an example of how things have changed. I grew up in North Minneapolis, went to St. Joseph's School, which is no longer there. It's now part of St. I went to St. Joseph's, then went to St. Anne's, and it's all just one thing now, I guess. I don't even know if either of those, well, St. Joe's has been torn to the ground. There's nothing left of that. But as a 10-year-old boy, I could walk from our house on Plymouth Avenue. Well, it was actually on 12th Street. It was a block south of Plymouth Avenue. I could walk from there at 10 years old, downtown Minneapolis, hang around downtown Minneapolis, go back to my house, and not one person ever bothered me. Nobody.
Right?
And it's not, I think at 73 years old, I don't think I'd do that today. I don't think I'd be doing that today. Why do we allow people to be so harmful to one another? There's 24 shootings. Was that in one day, Rev?
It's been 2 days.
2 days.
That this stuff has been going on.
What is it? What now? Why are they shooting everybody?
We've lowered our standards when it comes to safety and security, and have handcuffed our own police to not enforce the law or do catch and releases that our justice system just doesn't want to deal with. And then we have politicians getting in the way of the justice system. So we've got to make that separation from politics getting in the way of the law.
Yeah.
And
right.
We need to, I hate to take Tad Jude's line from this, but we need to make crime illegal again.
That was a good line.
That was a good line. And
that was a good line.
So, but we need to enforce that. We need to come up with higher standards. We need to be very vigilant with implementing that as soon as we get in office, because one of the first things we have to bring back is safety, and by that, we have to aggressively deal with the immigration at the same time. Simultaneously, we have to do that. So it's a lot of work, but that's why I have Tim with me, because I know he's a guy who's wants to help all the communities, doesn't matter what color or creed you are, right. And he wants to get things done. So, and he's a guy who, he's doesn't just talk the talk. He's one to go in there and be boots on the ground. So,
what's great about my friendship with Reverend Tim is we both have people that hate our guts. It's like, what does Reverend Tim ever say, or I ever say, that would make you hate me? It makes because I don't agree with you, or you don't agree with me, I should be hated, or I should hate. I don't hate anybody. Right. I wouldn't waste my time on hating anybody. There's some people I don't care for, but if they're around, it's not like I'm going to go sit at another table.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole different. No, I did grow up with a bunch of professional wrestlers, which you know about.
Of course I know.
Unfortunately for that, most of them are no longer with us.
My friends, yeah.
Honestly, got Hawk and Animal.
They were my training partners at the gym in Plymouth.
Absolutely, they were.
Jesse was there with us. Kurt Henning, Rick Rude.
Yep.
Yeah, they all passed. And
see, I went in there. He didn't even notice that.
He did.
Were you there too?
Oh yeah.
Jim Young, Chris Giovanni, all the legends of the Minnesota bodybuilding community and pro wrestling. Yeah,
great story. I'm at the gym in Plymouth.
Yeah,
and a young guy comes up to you, goes, Tommy, I saw you come in. I got to tell you something, but I don't want you to tell anybody because I'm waiting. Is Joe coming? I said, yeah. As a matter of fact, I got here same time he did. He's still outside, but he'll be in a minute. He goes, Tommy, I can't wait to tell. Now, Joe was Animal.
Yeah, Laurinaitis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Yeah, we traveled the world together. He was my corner man in a lot of my UFC fights.
Oh, there you go.
And so then we were on some pro wrestling tours together, and just a great guy, great friend.
Great guy. Both of them, Hawk and Animal, both loved them.
Yep, absolutely.
So this young guy comes up to me and goes, Tommy, I'm so excited. It's just I finally accomplished what I've always set out to do. Today, I bench pressed 300 pounds for the first time. And I said, man, that's great. Most people can't do that. That's wonderful news. That's fantastic. Just then, Joe Laurinaitis comes walking through the door, walking like he always walked because he couldn't put his arms down. They were too big. He walks by and his kid goes, Joe, Joe, I told Tommy already, and I couldn't wait for you to get here. Joe, I got to tell you, man, today for the first time, I bench pressed 300 pounds. And Laurinaitis looks at him and goes, ooh.
I thought you were going to say he jumped on there and did it for 20.
Yeah, well, that was pretty easy for him to do. There's no question. But if you don't mind, I would like to spend a little time talking about that whole culture, because my wife, who I don't know if you saw her on the way out.
Yeah, I got to get my hug before she left.
Good.
Yeah, got my hug. Yes, sir.
One of those guys that has a wife that's far too good for him. I understand.
Right. I was going to say that, but you beat me to it.
No, I understand. I understand that whole deal. One time, Hawk and Catherine and I, it was back when over on 13th and Nicollet, when that what the hell's the name of the restaurant? There's Murray's, and it also starts with an M.
Ichiban's or
no,
it was right across the street from Ichiban. It was in the hotel.
Oh, Ocean Air
Hotel.
Wasn't there Ocean Air?
Ocean Air was in there, but this one was also. It's a steakhouse. It's now in the Fauché Tower.
What address would this be?
Fauché Tower.
I don't have money like that.
You're talking about Manny's.
Manny's. That's exactly
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
Manny's. I don't have Manny's money.
We're sitting at Manny's back when it was in the hotel over there, right across from Ichiban.
Yep.
And Catherine and
Mike.
Yes, they get in an argument. Hawk and my wife get in an argument about something. Hawk reaches in his pocket, takes out a sake I was carried with a lot of rocks and money in it. So if anybody messed with him, we could just club him with it. Hits himself over the head. The sock splits, all the money and everything goes flying around the restaurant. I'm like, what kind of life do I have here? I mean, what the hell did I get involved with?
But it's funny that you had start talking about how you're able to walk when you was growing up, how you're able to walk the streets and walk around.
Yep.
And I went downtown on the other night, 9:30, and I walked downtown.
Oh, you did?
Because I wanted to find out what was going on. I had not dealt with a lot of some of the elements that are down there, if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
In a while. So I needed to get back down there to find out what was going on with everything that's happening. And it's just funny to me how people, when I say that, people go, oh my God, like you did.
Oh, yeah.
You actually went downtown?
I know.
Because people are afraid to go to a city that was, when I moved here in 1990, my wife and I would go downtown and enjoy ourselves. Now, one time did I have to worry about,
Nope.
If someone was going to jump us, if this was going to happen. Now, if I take my wife and my grandkids, we go down there for a circus or something like that.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting there going, do I leave my firearm in my car or do I risk it and take it with me? Because I don't know what's in these parking ramps.
Well, that's a big problem. The parking ramps are a huge problem.
Yeah,
because they can hide. Everybody hides in there.
Yeah, exactly. But the bottom line that I'm getting to is we've got to get to a point to where people are feeling safe with being on the streets.
That would be wonderful.
Being on the streets. Now, when it start getting out into Plymouth, and Plymouth is having the problems that they're having right now, something that's happened. In 2019, I warned them. I told everybody, if you don't put a cap on this right now, it's going to get into the suburbs.
Yeah.
The whole thing about Theodore Park, I don't know if you ever driven down Theodore Park. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Theodore Worth,
Theodore Worth Parkway,
Absolutely.
right? The only thing that separates North Minneapolis and the rich part of Theodore Worth is a park and the road. Back in the day, the whole thing was you can do whatever you want in Minneapolis. You just don't go over and mess with the white people in Theodore Worth. You don't do that.
Pretty much true.
That was the whole thing that went on. They don't care now.
No.
These young kids, they go there, they steal, they rob, they do whatever they want. But they said, if you go over there and start messing, then you're going to get the police on us. But we can do whatever we want over here. We can sell drugs. We can assault people. We can do whatever we want. But you don't go over here. Well, now we're at a point to where they're going all the way up into Kenwood in the $1 million
really
homes. Oh yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. So at some point in time, we've got to get to the point to where we're saying no more, right?
I agree.
Enough's enough.
Yep.
We cannot let them have this, like I said, mindset that whatever they want to do, they can do it and no one's going to do anything about it. We have no place for these kids. No place. They get in trouble, they go and stick them in a hotel room, and then the state of Minnesota loses them.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
That's what's going on right now. We need a place where we can put these kids so these kids can get help. These kids need help. Point blank.
No question. There's no question about that. So how did you get involved with the idea that maybe you needed to step up and run for governor?
I grew my manufacturing business out of my garage to an international success while raising my kids, and opened up a couple of gyms using my boxing products as a kind of like title boxing. And and we were doing great, fantastic. I had a restaurant inside and my manufacturing in the back and a gym. So there was 3 businesses there, and COVID hit, and there was a trifecta for me as far as losing 3 sources of income.
Oh yeah.
So it was very frustrating. And so back then I reached out to Jim Jordan and Jesse Ventura and a couple other people trying to, say, hey, I'm thinking about running for governor and need some input, And so I was suggested that I start at a lower level to learn what politics is all about. 'Cause I had really never been involved with it before. I'm just a business guy, former fighter, businessman, and so I got in. I never asked for any donations. I did the best I can with learning and ran for Senate, and then ran for Congress, and then conceded to Tad Jude, and then ran for county commissioner right away. And I learned about all these positions that really are, it's really hard to make changes.
Oh God, yeah.
It's really hard to make changes unless you're at that guy at the top. Obviously, if you want your flag changed, you got to be the guy at the top because you can just do that at whim.
Yeah.
You want to put up a red flag or a red flare to let everybody in your state illegally. The guy at the top can do that. So I felt that passionately that I'm certainly qualified enough and smart enough to figure things out, and I have a really good network of people. Smarter people than myself.
That's very good.
And so, I turn to them for advice and mentorship and, people that don't want to be in this position themselves because of the attacks we'll get,
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay. I mean, I'm all for it. I bring it on because, I've been in the cage before. You really can't rattle me up. Okay.
I understand that. Yeah.
So I started developing a plan about 4 years ago. And, after meeting and networking with a bunch of people, I ran into Tim probably about 3.5, 4 years ago, and we became friends. And after listening to his podcast, which I do not listen to podcasts, and listen to yours a couple of times too, and just I basically just do my thing. And so I haven't stopped politicking and campaigning since I started 4 years ago. I've been going the entire time, and learning. And after the last election, I almost won. I came very close in a very short time. And I said, we're ready. I think we've mastered the way to really brand here in Minnesota now. And so, like I said, I've never asked for money before because I wanted to learn, not waste my friends' money and say, hey, I'm just another loser jumping into the race. I want to make sure that I'm going to finish the race, and that when I come to you, that I'm committed to what I'm doing. And so, John over here is one of my campaign managers. I have several actually. And then, bringing Tim on board, I wasn't sure, but I knew he was the right guy. We do need to win Hennepin and Ramsey County. And of course, Rochester, Duluth. These are very blue strongholds. Talking to Tim and what he brings to the table with again, trying to change Minnesota. I think with my connections to the minority groups and Tim's as well, knowing that we are for everybody, and it's really about changing the state of Minnesota to a better community and better and safer location and make it affordable again. It's not about what party we're for. It's about the people of Minnesota. And that's where Tim lies as well. And although I'm under the Republican banner, I really want to consider myself more of a, independent conservative, as you'll hear from him as well, where the GOP is, kind of a 50-50 right now, and they're in disarray, and they have some issues, which I still consider myself a Republican, but I really want to establish myself as a person for the people rather than a party line person.
that makes up and go, hey, you know what? This is all about the people. It's not about me working on this job so I can get to the next level and then get to the next level. As long as you're going to be governor, why don't you pay attention on being governor and get that done properly? People do know this, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but Tim Walz is just not my kind of guy. He's way too Hollywood, yay, rah, rah for me. It's just not my kind of deal. So when I heard about you guys, coming together, I said, well, these are people that I've been around my whole life. People like you guys, professional wrestlers and all the rest of it. The whole thing bothers me, the way this state, and I love Minnesota.
Yeah.
I was born in Long Prairie, Minnesota, moved down to North Minneapolis. I was like a year and a half old. Well, actually lived at Spruce Place over on Loring Park for a couple of years and then moved to North Minneapolis. I watched North Minneapolis turn into a pretty interesting place. I will tell you that. It turned pretty interesting, but I got to be honest with you. My neighbors, they were wonderful. We can all get together and get along. Our differences are being used against us.
Thank you.
I don't care if it's,
Thank you.
preference here or skin color there or man or woman or whatever. It's all used to fight against one another.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. So I don't want to fight with anybody. I'd rather just get along. Everything would be good and all the rest of it. But some people, it's all about the money. And I talked about that a long time this morning before I got on this show. Money, 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 money. That's all you hear now.
Yeah.
And it's driving me crazy. It just, if you want so much money, get off your ass and go work. How about that?
Yeah.
It's just an idea.
I was just telling you that today. Someone was asking me, what, you got a great product. Why don't you go back and manufacture and make a lot of money? I go, I honestly, and I say this, and I don't mean this in any other than being honest. I believe this was given to me by God. The plan has been laid at my feet, and I have to follow this. It's not about the money for me. Yeah, that right. Whole thing is there, and but this is something. This is something that I believe that, like I said, was given to me, and if I go before God and He asks, "Why didn't you fulfill the dream I gave you?" I don't want to answer that question. I want to say I gave it my all, as I've done with everything else in my life, I like I said, I think we have a great plan. You talk about Tim Walz. I try not to, I did come out on that one David Zier's Zen show and called him Satan, but it was a Freudian slip. I don't like saying bad things about people, let alone slamming the opposition, but it is what it is. I mean, you say he's not your type of guy. I mean, well, what real man puts tampons in boys' bathrooms? I mean,
it's interesting.
The things that has been going on, it raises everybody's eyebrow, and it's got to stop. And if we don't do something, this state's going to flatline, and it's going to die.
Yep,
this state's going to die. And if there was a better candidate that wasn't a true politician, someone that's a businessman that wants to step in, that has common sense and true passion to fix Minnesota, that's not a whack job, I support them, and so I would step down. But we don't have anybody, and until I found that person, I'm just gonna, I know I'm a good guy. I know I can do this. I know I have a great team. Together, we come up with, we have a plan in place. What we want to do to fix things. We're working it all out. So day one, you can expect things to start happening. Not going in, going, okay, let's get started now. No, we want to start day one. And you're not going to see me going state to state, trying to do town halls.
A lot of that now.
Minnesota, we're focused on Minnesota. I'm not focused on the Trump campaign, although I'm a Trump fan and a GOP, but we are focused on Minnesota, not what's going on in the federal. We are focused on what's going to happen here in Minnesota and how to fix it.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break, be right back, and I want to bring up how things used to be and get your take on all that. Be back right after this. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Maybe sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and it'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today, 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice, and I am a paid endorser.
Many car dealers try to create an extreme sense of urgency. Does anybody really buy it?
We gotta sell 100 cars by Saturday to get the boss off the roof. Or, you'll never see these rebates again. And oh yeah, your trade will never be worth more.
Really? I asked Jim Paul from Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Valley GMC in Hastings his thoughts.
I don't even know what to say. I hope folks are smarter than that.
Has there really ever been a time when it was urgent?
Probably not. But this tariff environment might be a first. Valley has several hundred pre-tariff units on the ground. Who knows what's going to happen with the tariffs, but these are really safe buys. Going forward, Valley's committed to make whatever the situation is as painless as possible, like we've always done.
Where can we find you then?
Get them pre-tariff. Hurry, hurry, hurry. When they're gone, they're gone. And man,
at a Valley store in Apple Valley or Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Certainly not on a roof.
Got the hustling music going now. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're just talking about the world and how it's changed quite a bit. No question about that. And when you were talking, I thought back to when I was a kid living in North Minneapolis. My mother was a big time Democrat, very, very poor husband. My father was institutionalized because he was nuts when I was, I think, 7 years old. As a matter of fact, when they took him away, he was in a straitjacket, and I'll never forget that. Wow. But, he returned off and on for a while, but then he died very young. He was only 60, I think, when he died. But so my mother was a pretty hardline Democrat because she was broke as hell, and she was a waitress at Merwin Drugs. And you remember Merwin Drugs Store right there on the corner?
Yeah.
Broadway and
Lindale.
It's not there anymore. There's a Merwin liquor store there.
There's a liquor store there.
There is a liquor store there.
They tried to shut down because it was the murder, the murder capital of Minneapolis. I was part of the team who, and Republican out of Elk River came up with me to try to get that liquor store shut down.
Yeah.
So, but no, I understand what you're saying when, especially like I said, go back to what we talked about earlier. Like you say, your mom was a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
She was poor.
Yep.
Most white poor people who live in Minneapolis are Democrats.
Yes, no doubt about it.
Because they feel that the Democrats have them programmed to believe that they will take care of it. But then you look at the Republicans, they don't do nothing, and they got that mindset of pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So now most of the people, it's the same thing with these drug addicts. Half of the people who are druggies who living down in Minneapolis in these homeless camps that Mayor Fry keeps rousing up, they're from red districts. They're from. That's why I keep saying, let's get the people who are from wherever you're from, send them back. If we're gonna deport people, let's start down there. Let's start sending all the people who are not from Minneapolis. Let's send them back to their districts. Half of the people that's down there in those homeless camps are from red districts.
Yeah,
you will never see a tent set up in Plymouth, Elk River, St. Michael's, Hopkins. You will never see that because they rouse them up and they boot them out. Mm-hmm. And the only place they know to go is downtown. Now, when we was coming up, Tom, you know it as well as I do. You didn't see that like that.
No, God, never.
No. Right?
Never.
You didn't see that like that. But Minneapolis opened the door and started saying, you know what? If you're a drug addict, if you just want to live on the streets, if you just want to walk around, we're here for you.
As long as you vote the right way.
As long as you vote.
There it is. As long as you vote the right way. Now, my mother, ardent Democrat, one diner waitress over, like I said, at Merwin Drugstore. Her best friend, she adored this man, her cousin, Lamont Dean, who was a cop. He was a Minneapolis cop, and he was very Republican. And he would come over, and my mother and he would talk. I adored both of them. They're both gone now, unfortunately. But I mean, what a treat it was for me, and how lucky was I that I got to watch my mother and her best friend, completely opposite politically, but they adored one another. They talked about things. Never did they raise their voices, ever. Do you think that's a good idea, Toots? I mean, my mother's name is Theophilus, so everybody called her Toots because, I mean, people call her everything from Alpha to, so she just went by Toots. But I did not know how lucky I was growing up watching an ardent Democrat and an ardent Republican talking, a man and a woman talking. And at the end of the night, they hugged and gave each other a kiss and said, well, I'm sorry, I got to go, but I'll see you soon. Yeah. I watched the two parties come together in my own home constantly, law enforcement, and my mother was pretty much the law enforcement of that house. I will tell you that. But what a treat that is, and how lucky was I to witness that. Most people probably never see that. It's one party or the other, not both.
Was you over there during the riots?
Oh, yeah. That was an interesting time. As a matter of fact, Plymouth Avenue burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Was that 1967?
Yeah.
60, I think it was 67. Yeah.
67, 68.
I mean, there were military vehicles everywhere. Everything was on fire. I mean, it was, boy, that was quite, I'm glad you brought that up. I feel much better about my life today than I did. That was something to see, though, honest to God. The whole thing, it just sat there and burned. And again, watching these tanks roll, they brought tanks in, not only, cars, they brought some tanks in to block off the roads. I did not know this, but I grew up in a very fortunate way because I saw things that nobody will ever see again, probably. And it didn't drive me crazy. It didn't push me over the deep end or whatever. It was just part of life. It was part of that whole situation now. And I got to be honest with you, when I drive by places and look up and they got banners that say Black Lives Matter, how the hell do you know? Did you live with black people, white people, Asian people, whatever? Unless you live together and we're friends and spend a lot of time together, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. That stuff drives me crazy. And it's mostly, I was going to use
liberal whites.
I was going to use the word honky, but
let me help you out before you get yourself in trouble. You know as well as I do. They'll be Reverend Christopher was on his show, so he was allowed to say blah blah blah. Now let me make sure. Like I said again, Tom, I thank you very much for having us here. I appreciate you. I always love talking to you because you see things that I sit and say, but a lot of people don't see it because they don't want to see it. Just like you said there, where you had a Democrat and a Republican actually sitting down and talking to each other.
Very, very.
And there's no reason why that can't be done today.
I agree.
The reason it's not done is because they're fighting each other.
Money.
So leadership. So you got these people coming up talking about, we're going to go up there and we're going to work together to make things happen, but yet they make your life worse. We're saying we're not coming to ask you for your vote because we're going to work for you.
Right.
We're saying we're going to work with you.
Yeah, that's nice.
What has Peggy Fleming done in her time as
who?
Thank you very much. In her time, she haven't done nothing. She made a statement the other day because what's going on right now with the shootings with the natives. But other than that, Peggy's done nothing. I have zero plan in doing what Peggy did. I don't plan on sitting. I'm not a desk person.
Right.
I'm not going to sit behind a desk.
Yep.
I'm going to be in people's faces asking, what is your problem?
That's how it used to be.
Thank you very much. Right.
Again.
I couldn't agree more.
And we talked about,
and I don't expect that when Brad, who's going to be the governor, to be sitting behind his desk. Because if he did,
out on the road,
I'm going to be calling him out.
No, and that's the guy. That's why I love the guy. He knows what we got to do, and we're going to hold each other accountable to get it done. And we have a great team to help us as well. And bringing this together, it's, like I said, we've got to unite Minnesota.
That'd be wonderful.
And get it, it may not ever get back to where it was and the memories you have, but we certainly can get it in the right direction. We need to bring in the Gen Zs and the millennials to start mentoring the next generations, to bring it into the 10 to 20 years down the road, kind of like raising your kids. You want to better the next generation, right? Yep. And the same thing with it in politics. If we're not doing that, if we're brainwashing them to get used to this immediate gratification mindset, we're going to keep losing.
No, there's no question about that. So you can't win that war.
We've got to get them back to that grind mode where we need to work together. We should mentor them, start planning out the future, correct what we have going right now, and then mentor them to work towards the future, because we can't just have a 4-year plan. We've got it, but how do we go towards the 8? And I don't want to be a career politician. I want to get this ship going in the right direction, rudder it straight, get it going into the wind like we need to go, and keep that direction, and then bring people in that want to carry on the torch. I don't want to be here forever and, get to that point where I can't enjoy the rest of my life.
Right.
And I do. I just, Tim's the same way. We feel we can get this thing going the right direction, and, get the next generation to carry the torch and keep Minnesota going strong.
Speaking of that, Andy, you're the next generation. How you liking this?
It all sounds pretty good to me.
Well,
Whether it's realistic, I'm not sure, given the state we're in, but I hope so.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
he's right though.
It is. Right. It's hard to be a dreamer. It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine living the American dream again unless you've lived it. I've had a great life. I've got to do so many things with my athletic career, my business career, invent products. I've got to do these great things, and I wasn't some school teacher that ruined the state. I'm the guy who went out there and created. There are makers in the world and there are takers in the world. Okay. Right. And we need to have people that are not afraid to take those risks and chances no more and start creating again. We need our young minds to be able to want to be police officers and firefighters again, not be afraid of the cops. We need to have them want to be, oh my God, those people are like superheroes. Like we need to get that kind of mindset going back again. And you can't do this with this woke party in place.
It's interesting about that. As you were talking about that, becoming governor and all the rest of it, back when Tim Pawlenty was the governor of the state of Minnesota, I went to dinner over there about once a month. We went downstairs, played a little pool. I mean, it was very human and very normal.
That's
it wasn't
cool.
I mean, it was a whole different thing back then. And I really liked them. Norm Coleman and I are good friends. And look, I have friends that are Democrats too. That's the thing that I don't understand about people is, you see things one way. No, I don't.
No.
I get that all the time, Tom.
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, even running right now, I've got people telling me, well, I won't vote for you because you're not a Republican.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's not a good idea. Why would they say that?
I look, here's my mindset when it comes to the whole thing. And then when I ask them, what has the Republicans done for the people of Minnesota, they can't answer it.
Haven't had a chance to do anything because we've been controlled by the other party.
No, that's not true. See, I have to push back on you when you say that. There's things that the Republican Party could have done to put themselves in a better position than they are in right now.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they have not done that. And when you want to put out bills, Trump derangement syndrome, when you actually sat in your office and got paid to come up with something like that, that tells me you're not a serious person. When everything is going downhill in Minnesota and that's what you come up with, you can't sit there and say, let's go and help the farmers that are out in Glencoe, Minnesota. Right. You can't sit there and say, let's go help some of these elderly who are being taxed out of their house. You can't do that.
9.5%.
You can't say that. You can't say, let's look into this fentanyl situation that are killing all of these people. But you sit in your office and come up with a bill, Trump deranged syndrome?
I thought that was a joke. I could not believe
Come
someone's
on,
that
man.
insane.
Yeah.
I really had to am I awake? Is did
dreaming
someone
right
really
now.
do that? Right? I mean, I just think common sensely. I don't think deranged like that. You know,
Well, it's the Minnesota media cycle where politicians do things to get in the news, not because it's actually helpful.
you're right. That's why
They want
Well,
attention, and they're getting attention.
Well, we don't have time for that, Andy.
Yeah, we don't.
Look
No,
at
we
where
don't,
we're,
but-
you're just like Andy said a little bit ago when he said he don't know if that can be turned around. That's the reason why we don't know if it can be turned around, because we don't have serious people in serious positions to be doing things.
Right.
So when people tell me somebody can't do something, I have to sit there and go, that's just a lie. Because I had food coming in all the way from Brainerd to feed North Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me something can't be done. When the governor, Tim Walz, put his head in the sand for the people of North Minneapolis and other places in Minnesota, and everybody had to feed for themselves, we did that. I had money coming in to get people to drugstores so they can get their drugs, so we can transport them in and out. So people can't sit there and say certain things can't happen. You can't make a difference. You can't do that. It's just, can I get the right people behind me to start making that difference, to start things putting into place to make things happen? And just like you said, the people with the money.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
There it is.
Right there.
Well, you got people who believe that you can do something and people that believe they can't do something, and they are both correct. And that is their mindset, right?
Yeah.
And really, there are three kinds of people in the world. People that make things happen, people that watch things happening, and people have no idea what the hell just happened.
Right.
Okay. And that's what we have to get people in there that want to make things happen.
You know, and I don't mean to sound arrogant or anything like this, but my life has been the American dream.
Yeah.
I grew up dirt poor. My father institutionalized in a straitjacket. My mother a diner waitress. We had no money, but I had enough belief in the system of being an American and being a Minnesotan to try to work hard. I graduated high school at 16 years old, but I got to tell you one thing.
That's pretty good.
I didn't get my diploma until I was 18 because they wanted to keep that $1,000 a month or whatever it was they were getting per student.
Oh, wow.
They wouldn't give me my diploma until I turned 18 years old because they were collecting money for, I don't know, back then it was probably $50 a month or something. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was a money thing. But some people get very upset with me because I say, well, I went through it all. I'm not any more special than anybody else, but I'm living the American dream. I have a magnificent wife, our children, our grandchildren. I got great friends. It can happen. You can be happy. I'm here to tell you. Most people think there's no way they can achieve happiness anymore. And that is not true. You're going to get battled. There's no question about that. And it's all about if you voted the wrong way.
We should take a break here. I just got some news from Mom about when Fawn's going to be on. I'll tell you during the break.
Okay, sounds good.
But basically, we don't have a whole lot of time left.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, it'll all work out in the end. Let's do this. Why don't we take a second to talk about my bank, North American Banking Company. As a business owner, you're always looking for opportunities to grow, and that's where North American Banking Company can help. Their business banking team offers tailored solutions, whether you're expecting, let's say you're expanding your team, opening a new location, or upgrading equipment, because they're locally owned. Local loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities, which means faster approvals and more flexibility to meet your needs. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Visit nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. It is Tom here for Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities. Wellshire Alzheimer's and Dementia Care Facilities are a place where your loved one will live with pride and dignity. If you care deeply about someone in your life, Wellshire is the place I highly recommend. Wellshire is a memory care focused facility that has a full nursing team, always staffed within the building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have never used or relied on any staffing agencies. Wellshire of Medina is now accepting elderly waivers after 12 months of private pay. I know them personally, and they're a family-owned local company conveniently located right in Medina and Bloomington. They're the best staffed memory care facility in the state. Wellshire has a robust community with activities 7 days a week. If your loved one is in need of a memory care facility, please get in touch with my friends at Wellshire. Set up a tour or learn more at wellshiremn.com. That's WEALSHIREMN.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the previous segment was brought to you by North American Banking Company and Mike Bilski. This segment brought to you by Josh Arnold. We're back at it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're making some pretty good inroads here. I think the only part of politics that I do not like is the fact that, oh, well, you live here, so you think this way, or you live here, so you think that way. And that's not true in the least. I mean, it just... We live different lives. We've had different experiences. You can't expect everybody to be just like you. And I've never expected that in my life. It just, some of these people, unless you believe every word I say and listen to everything I say, then I hate you. It's like, what?
Wouldn't that be boring?
Yeah. Imagine how boring that must be there.
I have a friend that's so funny. I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah. I just calm down. Everything will be fine. It just, everybody, it has to be this way. And that's, where did that start in our school system? Is that where this all started?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the schools were like, this is the way it works. This is the way it happens. And you've got to be this way. And this is how you got to go into the world. And everybody just bought into that whole system that you just said.
Yeah.
And then here we are. And I always tell people, I'm like, you eat Fruit Loops just like I eat Fruit Loops.
Exactly.
The only difference between the only difference between us a lot of times is our skin color.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that. It's just like my family. I mean, we are what you call a rainbow. I mean, my stepfather, who raised me since 1977, is whiter than you. I've told you that. He's a white man.
Nobody's whiter than me.
No, my stepfather's straight out of Boise, Idaho.
Oh, well, then he is whiter than me.
Yeah, he came down. He's a military man. He came down to Memphis, Tennessee. He met my mother in the Deep South in 1977 when they was 10 years out of Loving versus Virginia, where black and whites could marry, and my dad didn't care. He fell in love with my mom. They're still together till this day, and we went through a time with my dad. Like I said, I remember in Onslow Beach, North Carolina, my dad's packing everybody up in the car, and the guys drive by and say, "Hey, you in lover?"
Oh,
yeah. I've been through people looking at things different with everything. But I've also been through with a dad who sits there and say, that's not ever to be your mindset.
Right.
Is to treat anybody any different than what you would want to be treated. That's how I was brought up. Mm-hmm. Right. I didn't brought up hating the police. I didn't brought up hating white people. I didn't brought up none of that. Mm-hmm. I was brought up in a way of saying, treat people this way. And then my grandmother, she was a church going woman. She always said, everybody's your brother. You need to understand what that really means in the Bible. I did not see it that way for a long time. I mean, I was one of those little kids that grew up in the Deep South. And, I had my little Black Panther beret and the whole nine. the whole thing. And then I got into the Bible and I started seeing things there that was just jumping off the page where it says that. Are we all not made of our Father? Mm-hmm. The very Father, everybody. The only difference is he gave me just a little more color than he gave you. That's the only difference
No, it's
between us.
true.
Other than that, we are God's children. Period, point blank. There's
Right.
no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I think if we all start seeing that and stop hating on each other, I think the world will be a lot different. And that's how I like to see things.
Yeah.
I don't have to be with Brad. I can sit there and go, I heard, white supremacy was this and white supremacy was that.
Right.
I can't hang out with somebody like him. He's a Republican. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's pretty much how they've got us tuned. Right?
Mhm.
I'm supposed to hate him because he's a Republican and because he's white. But Brad and I sit down and we talk, and a lot of things that he believes in, I believe in.
Right.
And a lot of things I believe in, he believes in. That's why we're together. It has nothing to do with the color of our skin. It's because we see a world where we all should be able to get together under the guidance of our Father who put us here.
Right.
It's that simple.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
I would agree with that. And that it's all about the vote. It's not about skin color
Yeah.
anymore. It's not about preference, not about anything other than how you're going to vote.
Mhm.
Because I get money if you vote the right way.
That's right.
It's like, it's all about money. It's always about money, which drives me crazy. I don't know. That's why when I heard you guys were coming together and thinking about doing this, I said, well, that works. That works for me. You know, you got, and I won't even say what certain party or whatever. You still have people that, you're not the right color. You're not this. You're not trans. You're not blah blah. It's like you be you. I don't give a rat's ass who you are, what you do. You be you. I don't care in the least what that's all about. Why do people still care? Well, because maybe you won't vote the right way, and it's going to cost me money the way you believe. I just wish we could do something about. Isn't America still one of the wealthiest countries in the world?
For sure.
I thought so.
So what's the problem here? One of the wealthiest countries in the world, and we still can't seem to get along.
Well, they got to keep us fighting with each other.
Yeah, they
Tom.
do. That's exactly.
As long as you and I
exactly right.
fight with each other, they are happy, and the sad part about it is they make money off of us.
Right.
They do.
Fighting with each other.
They're distracting us with their right hand and stealing with the left.
That's pretty much the truth.
Yeah.
I just, can we get this done? Do you think? Can you?
I firmly believe it.
You
Yeah,
firmly
I
believe
do.
you can win. I'd say that's great news, honest to God. And like I said, I got nothing against Democrats. I know a lot of Democrats, know a lot of Republicans. Some people don't have any affiliation with any party whatsoever. I got no problem with that. You lived a different life than I did. But this whole deal, if this is how they are, and if they're that, that's how they are. It's not true in the least. I just really wish people would stop this lust and love of money. My God, get off your ass and go make some money. There's a lot of ways to make money.
You know, if my boss said, "Hey, you can take a week off and still get paid," would you take it and still get full pay and not have to worry about your PTO? That happened. With the House of Representatives, of course, okay.
Yes. Yep.
Again, we have very poor leadership, and he's setting a poor example for our state and making us all look bad. And, we just got to step up, keep the fight going on, and keep growing our team, get people to know who we are and what we're all about. And hopefully it resonates enough. But we're going very strong. It's going good.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw a situation. I can't remember what. I think maybe it was PBS. I'm not sure, because I got this Donald Trump thing, him going after PBS this morning might be stuck in my head. But there was a budget of $4 million for some organization. The budget was $4 million, and they end up spending $7.4 million. It's like, you have a budget. You can't go over the budget. I don't even know what that is. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's about poor forecasting. It's about putting a plan together and you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oops, sorry guys, we don't know what we're doing, so we got to charge the taxpayers more money to do it. So and Tom, I tell you, it's you get these people in there that are not business minded and know how to set a plan in place, know how to set benchmarks up, and how to finish that, and then of course forecast it right with a little bit of that leeway room, right? Yeah. And then being transparent about it. Come out and say, hey folks, this is what we're going to do. here's what we're going to do on this by this date, by this date, by this date, and here's what it's going to cost. I think the people will feel more confident and feel more comfortable not being stressed about what's going on and seeing the progress. And once they start seeing progress, you can build that trust back into the community.
Can we get people's mind off the almighty dollar? Is there any way to get them to refocus?
Putting more in their pocket will help.
Yeah, putting more in their pocket.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to live a nice life.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make a lot of money.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you
got to
work
work for it.
Yeah, you got to work for it.
Right.
That's the other thing.
No freeloaders and no more illegal immigration. We've got to fix this problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation.
Yeah.
That I've been talking to some people about neighborhoods coming apart at the seams because the Americans in those neighborhoods will not go to the other side and follow another edict. And I guess this is America. Let's follow American law and American rules. What about that? But that's not how it is anymore.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know what, oh God, it makes me very, very sad. That's all I have to say. But please understand, ladies and gentlemen, this whole voting thing is so out of control now. You will do anything for a vote now. Why can't we run an honest election anymore? Is that possible?
Well, again, the illusion that they have these big followings anymore is crazy because we were down at the Capitol about a month ago for the
Libertarian.
Defend. We walked outside and there's masses of people with all these organized signs, and I see these buses. I'm like, we stop and talk to people. Hey, what's going on? Oh, we're just here from North Carolina here, and we were paid to be here. And here's our signs, and here's our script. Okay, so they're paying millions and millions of dollars for these people to show up here, making it look like it's our Minnesota people doing this.
Right,
and so
right.
Then you have the sheep to follow them. So there's really not as many people here in Minnesota following that script as there. I mean, it's a movie set is what it turns out to be.
Yes.
Okay.
They're all actors. Yeah, they're all actors.
They're paid people that answer an ad in the paper, and they come here, create havoc, and then they leave. But it's a delusion. It's not. They're not Minnesota people. And there's a company that does it. There's a company that does it.
A company runs the whole thing. Oh God.
Yeah. You want me to tell you the name of it?
Sure.
Let me look it up real quick here. I got it.
I can take a break while you're doing that because the timing would be perfect. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Arnold bringing you this segment of the show back right after this to wrap things up. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the show. You're listening to me. Your customers are listening to me too, and they'll hear me promote your business. So here's the deal. Engaged audiences are very, very important in my business. The Tom Bernard Podcast attracts thousands of listeners who are loyal, engaged, and ready to support businesses they trust. And that's a big thing, trusting the business. We've given people proven results. Our podcast has helped numerous businesses increase traffic, sales, and brand recognition. We're not just about ads, we're about results. So whether you're a local business or a national brand, we offer customer advertising packages designed to fit your unique needs and goals. Our audience spans multiple demographics too, by the way, allowing you to target your ideal customers with precision, from millennials to baby boomers and everyone in between. So here's the deal. With our broad reach and passionate following, your business will see increased visibility and awareness, translating into more customers and more sales. So come on board, start advertising on the Tom Bernard Show, and we'll both win. Thank you. Boy, I kept you guys a long time. It's 14 minutes to noon already. Oh, I'm fine. It's not a problem. I just
we got all the time in the world.
What I really like about this whole situation is, can you get 5 people together in one studio and not one person starting an argument or getting pissed off about something? That doesn't happen anymore. It's nice that we could all sit here and talk about different things. We don't all have the same view of the world, which is, how boring would it be that everybody you knew thought exactly the way you think?
Yeah.
That'd be boring as hell.
I like a little pushback.
Well, you grew up and matured in an environment that I've been around quite a bit. I never was a professional wrestler or any of those things, but I used to lift a lot of weights with the boys and hang out with them all the time and just watch it all. Jesse went off the deep end. It's like, I am the most important man ever born. It's like, settle down, Jesse.
Yeah. I voted for Jesse.
Yeah.
I was a Jesse.
Jesse was a good guy.
Right. I'd be totally honest with you. When he came aboard and ran, was a fresh breath air because he wasn't a politician.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can say what you want about Jesse, but Jesse was not a politician. Yeah. And I voted for him. And that's what we're about now. Yeah. I'm not a politician. No, I'm out in the streets. I'm doing the things out there, and that's what makes us, Brad and I believe, an awesome team because Brad has the business sense. He knows business. He knows everything about me. He knows how to bring things up. Where I have the street sense. Well, I know what's going on in the streets. Right. I know when things are about to go off. I know what needs to be done to make sure that we can keep people safe. Walking around Minnesota, I know what the poor people need, whether they're black, white, Puerto Rican, things of that sort. So that's what makes us a unique team. You've never had something like that. Usually you got one person who is this and another person who is this, but you don't have that to be able to bring it together so it can mix to help what's going on here in this here state. So that's why I got involved when he came to me and asked me to run with him. And everybody kept saying, Rev, you run off at the mouth so much, shut up or put up. Okay, now I'm putting up. But I'm not going to shut up.
No, I can't see you shutting up.
But I'm putting up and saying, if that's the deal, right?
There you go.
But you know what I'm talking about, Tom.
I do.
Do I know how to fix Minnesota? I do believe we do. I have it in my heart to understand that, like I said, with a business mind, with a business sense, with an on the ground mind, with on the ground sense, we bring that together and we start doing what needs to be done. That's what the problem we have. We have politicians or people who believe that they know something and they just don't. You don't see Tim Walz walking the streets, talking to people. Brad Kohler will be out with me. Yeah. Because that's where I'm going to be. And Brad will be out there touching and talking to the people, not just Democrats, not just Republicans.
Well, there you go. That's a good idea.
Right? Yeah. The people. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I mean, to get in touch with Tim Walz and try to talk to him, right? That's like going through a hornet's nest.
You got to have an agent do it.
You got to have an agent do it for you.
That's what I heard.
That's not going to happen here.
Yeah, well, it is good news.
Let me clarify something, Tom.
Okay, here we go.
I did do a short bit of pro wrestling, but my background is really, amateur wrestling and the UFC MMA fighting.
Right.
Okay. Right. So, the real fighting is a little different. I mean, I'll say a lot different because you get locked in a cage one-on-one with somebody and it's, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves kind of thing. And the pro wrestling was fun. It brought the verbal skills out of me because I used to be quiet.
Oh, yeah.
It got me to talk. Okay. I really wasn't one of those mouthy kind of guys. Like, look at me, and it got my personality out to, have the courage to have the voice. As far as being a business person, I mean, I think I'm pretty good. But the best thing about that is I'm surrounded by really better business people, smarter people that, I can go to for sure answers. And our roundtable, in our war room is surrounded by very influential guys that I can look to.
And women.
And yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. And women. And it's like, it's really nice to get an input and you come to the table, and this is what we want to bring to politics, is when you come to the table, you come with your plan and your ideas and your ideas, how to finish this, and we all present that, and we leave the room with a finished product, not like, 5:00, time to go home. We'll get back to this next month, put the taxpayers off longer, and they call that red tape. And they keep putting it off. We're going to finish it when we start it right then and there. We're going to walk in the room with a plan, with a scheduled idea or a problem that we have to solve, and we're going to solve it. And that's the difference that, I like bringing people together like that. And so, but I think that's, kind of like the athletic mindset I have, that if you got to, walk into a cage to fight someone, you better have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes, like Mike Tyson said, you always have a plan till you get hit in the face, right?
Everybody's a tough guy.
you gotta be able to come back. Nope, I just learned a lesson there. But this time you're walking in with a team that they all have different experiences and different mindsets. And that's what's wonderful about it.
And what's voting day this year?
November 5th, 2026.
The 5th. Of 26.
26, yeah.
I shouldn't
Not
have said
this year, yeah, next year.
Yeah,
and we started early for a reason. We have a big state to cover, and introducing Tim and myself to, I've been running locally here, but statewide, I'm not as well known. Now in the MMA and pro wrestling community, I am, but not with the people that are in politics or farming or the things that we need to count on them to get to know us. So, and Tom has a podcast, or Tim has a podcast as well. And, but we both need to come together and have our networks know the both of us. And so that's what we started 2 years early.
I got to make one thing clear, by the way. You know Jesse's family.
Yeah.
His daughter.
Okay.
Jade. She babysat somebody that's in not this room, but another room right next to us. Remember that, Andy, when Jade was your babysitter?
I don't actually.
Well, that's true. You were so young, you probably wouldn't even remember.
He was playing videos.
Yeah, well, he was, believe me. He was definitely. But yeah, our families were very, very close in that whole situation. And
you still talk to
Jesse?
Yeah.
Jesse hasn't talked to me in years because when he wanted me to host his gala when he won the governor's office.
Right.
And Disney said, you can't. They wouldn't let me do it. And Jesse blamed that on me. So he hasn't talked to me since.
Oh, wow.
It's like that stuff happens to me all the time.
Sure.
Look, I mean, if Disney doesn't want me to do it, Disney paid me a hell of a lot of money. I'm not going to piss them off. Sorry.
Right.
It just ain't going to happen.
There's business and there's friendship. I mean,
exactly.
You got to be able to separate church and state like that.
Jesse looks inward quite a bit, if you know what I mean. He's got an edge to him.
I didn't know me and Joe were actually best friends.
Oh,
okay.
God,
Jesse, I didn't know as well, but
Joe.
Kurt Henning, Joe, Mike Enos, Wayne Bloom, all those guys we were very tight.
God, Wayne Bloom, I used to lift weights with that man.
He's in Hamlin right now.
Is he?
Yeah, and Mike Enos is in Florida. I talk to them still. But it's always funny. We bring back memories. It's like, oh my gosh. You know what they say? If you don't realize you're an idiot when you're young, you're still an idiot, right? Oh my gosh, what do we do? Why did we do that stuff? But the pro wrestling was so hard on your body.
Oh God, yes.
And it was oh my goodness, And but it was so fun because it's like you get out there and you put on a show, and you get people to enjoy what you're doing, and you get to have that persona of being an athlete and get paid for it, and work out all day and this, that, and then one day you got to grow up. So
that's true. God, you just gave me some great memories out that gym in Plymouth out there.
Barry Darcel, John Nord,
all of those guys are out there.
Lenny Lane.
First time I went, the power room in that, that one set aside power room. Yeah. I go in there for the first time, and there's this little pencil dot on the wall, but there's an arrow pointing to the pencil dot. And underneath the arrow, the base of the arrow pointing at this dot, it said Youngner's brain.
Oh my gosh. Meaning Jim Younger, the owner.
Jim Younger, the owner.
That's probably the size of it.
He goes, that's about the size of it. A pencil. It was this little tiny marker. I thought, oh my God, am I going to make it through this?
And he's selling cars in Arizona.
Yeah, matter of fact, I talked to him a couple of years ago when he had to shut it down. And that was that's too bad. It makes me sad they shut that place down because, man, that was a great place to go work out and get to know everybody.
Well, they had a flood.
Yeah.
And then and a couple of them actually because it was down below the ground level.
It was, yeah.
But there's a girl on social media all the time. She used to train there, and her name was like Petite Powerlifter on Instagram. Cheryl was her name, little petite girl.
Oh, okay.
She always puts pictures of the guys on there. It's like, she's talking to a few people about maybe rebuilding the gym.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, oh my gosh, count me in, because that was certainly a gym that, it was legendary.
Well, the Road Warriors helped fund it, didn't they?
Well, it was Joe's building, actually.
Oh, it was his building. That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, and then they had Zubas, which I heard Dan Scott is starting to back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I heard they're starting Zubas up again. I haven't seen
him in years either.
Dan Scott, yeah.
Haven't seen him in a long time. God, it's
a lot of mutual friends.
You're going to have to come in more often. Let's talk about our old mutual friends. And Twin Cities Gym over in St. Paul. He's over there as well.
Scott.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's Scott.
Yeah. Scott was one of the two guys that ran that.
Yeah, Mitch was the other one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got a lot of professional football players that went to that gym.
Yeah. And of course, Keith Williams was a very incredible, and one of the best bodybuilders in the country. Incredible size. Yeah,
you could get a good laugh out. You didn't want to piss anybody off. I do remember that. They were not the kind of guys you wanted to piss off.
No. And then you hear all these stories about when they were bouncers and stuff like that. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the old Minnesota I miss.
I understand.
And that mindset you'll never have that again.
No.
And we got everybody camera crazy and want to be famous today, and rather than go out there and really become famous, they're all trying to be social media celebrities, and you rather than really work for being some kind of a real personality or athlete. The social media has really changed a lot of things.
Well, I tell you what, we got a little over a year and a half. Well, just right around a year and a half. Right, the election from right now.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna have to pop back in a few more times before the election. And I, like I said, Tim Walz, I'm more than welcome to come on because I am fair-minded about that whole deal. He'll never do it. I can guarantee you that. There's no way he'll ever come on.
We know that's not his thing. So for those who are listening, we'll make sure we go to bradkohler.com.
Bradkohler.com, yeah. Kohler like the faucets.
Kohler like the faucet.
Kohler.
Yeah.
Bradkohler.com. We'd appreciate your donation or follow the page.
Yeah.
Find out when we're going to be in your area. We'd love to meet and greet with you. Get to know us. I respond to everybody, whether it's through social media or email through the way. I do respond to everybody. And that's me personally. I think that's very important to get to know your customer and as a business person. So I want to take that mindset into office that the people of Minnesota are valuable and they need to realize they are. And so I want them to know that their voice is important to us. And Tim and I would love to meet with you.
God, I got to close with this because I've been thinking about it since you guys walked in the door.
Okay.
The one thing that really annoys me about our current governor, he does think he's a tough guy.
Didn't he say something like he'd beat up the Republicans or some weird thing? Like, what did he say?
He challenged. He
did. He challenged. And I'm like, Tim, you shouldn't. Don't come across as that. Who was the one again that said everybody's a tough? Oh, is the guy who ran the Hell's Angels?
That's what he said. He said he could kick Trump supporters' asses.
Yeah, that's what he said. He kick Trump supporters' asses. He's
and
then
the one pro wrestler out of Tennessee was calling him out. And then people were saying Brad Kohler is right here in Minnesota. I mean, so
there you go.
So there's no Trump supporters in Minnesota, that he wants to make amends with.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Well,
or
I just gotta tell you,
to make a difference.
Yep.
We would just. Well, I'm just going to say this here. I don't care if you're a Trump supporter. If you want to make Minnesota better, then here we are.
I love it.
I got to tell you, if I was challenged to that, I got to tell you my answer. Okay, I don't fight women or men that use tampons. Okay.
Well, he does use tampons. He's made that very, very clear. No, I just what was the head of the Hell's Angels name again? Scott.
The new guy? Not Pat Matter.
He died a while ago.
Sonny Barger?
Sonny Barger. Yeah. That's exactly what
he used to sponsor my fighting events.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yep, he did.
Yeah.
But he is the one who said everybody thinks they're a tough guy.
Yeah.
Until they meet a tough guy.
Well, tough guys don't go out looking for fights. I'll tell you that.
No, they do not.
Right. The people that get drunk and want to challenge you, it's like,
No,
what are you thinking? Yeah.
God, well, you guys got to look. We got 18 months. You got to pop in once in a while. Again, you're more than welcome to come in anytime you want. And again, like I said, I'll offer it up, but it's never going to happen. So it's not going to be a situation where I'm just one-sided in the whole deal. This is Minnesota. You get to vote for whomever you wish to vote for. I lean one way and might not be the way they're leaning, and that's the way the whole situation goes. It just sounded, well, first of all, you bring Rev Tim in, I'm going to fall over. He's saying he's not even responding to that.
No, Tom, I am always at awe anytime I get to hang out with you, only because of Catherine.
Oh, well,
wow.
Honest to God, Rev Tim,
he's honest.
My wife now, Catherine is now, I think, 66 years old. You met her out. She does not look 66 years old. And everywhere I go, I get to watch guys stare at her. Jesus.
I thought it was your daughter.
Yeah, well, that's not a bad guess.
I'm kidding.
And you're still welcome back. You're still welcome back. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate
a year
you.
from November 5th.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And again, I love Minnesota. I will always love Minnesota. It goes through some really, really weird political times. There's no doubt about that. But I think, instead of focusing on one guy who thinks a lot of himself, why don't we focus on the people?
The people. That's what this is about. Thank
you.
That's what this is about.
Thank you so much. And I guess we won't be back tomorrow because tomorrow is Saturday.
That's very true.
Have a magnificent weekend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
And keep an eye on Facebook. We will determine if we're going to be on Monday, probably by the end of the day today. So look for that.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you.
Reminds me of this one was before.